have Derek here, and I have RJ Young. But I'm gonna let you guys do you guys own intro. So I'm gonna start off with Derek. Where can they find you at, and what's the precipice of the show and things of that nature?
You can find us at the DallasProspect.com. It's a blend of sports and pop culture. Pretty much an eye on all Dallas sports, so whether Cowboys, Mavericks, Rangers. Also focus a little bit on Big 12 football. Me personally, I'm a Sooner guy. It's how I actually know RJ. And you can also find us on Twitter at Dallas Prospect.
At Dallas Prospect, guys, go check that out. A lot of good information. So the wonderful, the infamous RJ Young, where can they find you at, brother?
Hey, fellas, YouTube, man. If you just search RJ Young in there, I'm an OU fan. It's what I talk about. It's what I love. I don't claim to know more than anybody else. I just know a lot. That's it. I'm having a good time, fellas.
You're having a good time. So what made you, we're just going to go ahead and start this thing off. What made you become an OU fan?
2000. And then, I didn't even grow up here. I grew up in Mississippi and Florida, and I was actually a Florida State fan until I was about 13 years old. Ironically, I was watching that game from the other side, and I wanted to know who the hell this guy was who was asking for my man's Heisman Trophy back. Not asking, demanded. Like, we're going to whoop this dude's. And OU's defense showed up, right? And then we moved to Tulsa, and I grew up in Tulsa. Went to middle school, high school. Ended up following the team closer than I wanted to follow it because it was on TV all the time. And this guy with number 6 on made one of the most miraculous catches I've ever seen. Nobody talks about. Nobody seems to remember Antoine Savage going up to make this catch where I swear to God he's 10 yards off the ground plucking this football out of the sky that Josh Heupel, I know he tried to airmail it. He tried to. He was just trying to get rid of the ball. And Antoine Savage dragged that thing down. Somehow it came down with both of his feet in bounds. And fell out the sideline. I fell in love with that guy. And then through that guy, OU football.
Through that guy, OU football. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Give me about a few seconds here, guys. Let me double check something on my site. Make sure we got all the officials going in the right direction. All right. And we are almost there. So, Derek, what made you become an OU fan? How did that all started off?
I was born in Norman, and I wasn't like a diehard until actually the same season RJ was mentioning, 2000. I didn't really follow the team that closely. I would say it was probably the last 3 or 4 games of that season that I actually started watching the games in their entirety and not just kind of like peeking in on the score from time to time. And, it was cool seeing them win it, but it was one of those things as well where I felt like I hadn't really been invested enough in it. So I've, been coming back every season since then, wanting to actually be able to kind of go through the whole roller coaster of it instead of just kind of jumping on at the end. When they win it, it feels great that they won it, but it doesn't feel the same as if I had, gone through the ride with them. So just between growing up there and all that, I think that's what really got me buying in week in and week out.
So buying in week in and week out. Off the top of my head, I'm the only one that's in the room that's not a big OU fan, but I'm just a college guy. I love all of the football guys out there that can play and rush out to the ball.
Go
ahead.
I need you to pick a team right quick.
Oh man,
I'm not gonna stay on this call if you don't tell me.
Man, I'll have to roll with the swag, baby. I'm JSU, man. I went to JSU, Jackson State.
I can ride with Jackson State. I can ride with Southern, Grambling State, all of it. Yeah.
D.I. Love, the greatest running back of all time, right? From Jackson State.
Hey, man. I'll let you have I'll let you have him.
Yeah. And, hey, Jimmy Smith from my school, too, as well, wide receiver.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
He tried out for the Cowboys. He got cut or what have you, went over to the Jags. So he had a little problems on and off the field. So That's my
Wideout, hell of a wideout.
hell of a wideout, man. I can only imagine if he was going to be the understudy of Dez Bryant. I mean, not Dez Bryant, or Mike Irvin, the original '88. You see how that messed me up? But with that being said, the OU team collectively, I think throughout history, have strong ties to the Cowboys, Cowboys Nation. I'm going to do a quick quiz. Derek.
Yeah.
Can you name me off the top of your head without Googling the OU players or coaches that coached at OU who have strong ties to the Cowboys?
That coached at OU. Are we talking current strong ties?
Current, past, just give it to me.
Let's see. You got Switzer. Let's see. So I'm trying to go off of just man, you're catching me flat-footed here. This is more of an RJ question.
RJ, the Wiz.
Right now, what? Let's see. James Winchester was there. James Hanna was there for just a little bit. Of course, you said Switzer already.
Yeah, I was thinking coaches, but yeah, Hanna.
Well, I mean, you said players and coaches, right?
Oh, I didn't catch the players part.
I mean, and it seems like the Cowboys just want to draft an OU player every single season. I mean, Charles Tapper's there right now. Who else is there?
They had DeMarco.
Yeah, for a little bit, but so now we're talking about strong OU ties, and I'm just trying to think of guys that were just at Dallas at all, because strong OU ties to me implies stuff like Switzer because he won a Super Bowl. Well, actually, I want to ask you this question. I know I'm filibustering over here, but do you give Switzer credit for that Super Bowl?
No.
No way.
Okay, all right. No, this is interesting to me because this ties back to OU for me because folks want to argue about whether or not you give Bob credit for 2017.
Oh well,
I think it's the same. I think it's the same kind of thing. In both cases, it's a team that the predecessor built. In 2017's case, Bob Stoops kind of built, generally at least the foundation, right? So Baker came in with Bob and all of that.
Roy Williams, I forgot Roy. My fault. Anyway, yes, but I got a problem with that. You're the head coach at the head coach's time. You're the head coach. Who else is the head coach?
I don't know.
Jimmy Johnson wasn't the head coach. Bob Stoops wasn't the head coach. And the reason I want to give them those Super Bowls in those seasons is because if it had gone downhill, we wouldn't make that Bob's team. We wouldn't have made that Jimmy Johnson's team. We would have said that they screwed up a good thing. Yes?
True that.
I always got a problem with that. So when people try to take that Super Bowl away from Switzer, I'll be like, all right, if they went 0-16, you gonna let him slide on that too? Probably
well, let
not.
me ask you this: what's claim to fame for Troy Aikman? This is another talk track. Is he an OU guy or is he UCLA?
Troy Aikman is the 17th best OU quarterback ever.
The 17th. Well, you got Brad.
I'm being facetious here, right? Because I just got into an argument with a guy. I believe
Sam Bradford. That's what I'm saying. Sam Bradford is better than I guess.
Mayfield is the best OU quarterback ever.
Oh wow.
Ever, and I'll fight people on that. I really will. But no. So to me, Troy Aikman's a great NFL quarterback. No, a great Hall of Fame quarterback. Terrible OU quarterback because when he was at OU, all you had to do was run the wishbone.
That's all they was running, the wish. But that's old school football, though.
Jamel Holloway's a better quarterback than Troy Aikman. Couldn't run it.
He couldn't run the wishbone.
So, if you ask me, he's a UCLA quarterback because that's how he got drafted. That's where he made his name. He's a passer, always been a passer, but couldn't run a wishbone.
All right, so I'm going to throw another one at it. Who is the greatest, and I mean the greatest OU receiver of all time? They got a lot of good stock in wide receiver, but who's the greatest?
Greatest wide receiver.
Wide out.
Broyles?
I mean, you would have to say Broyles off the top, but when he says wide out, we're not talking about tight ends or pass catchers. We're just talking about receivers.
Right.
Okay. Because I immediately go Keith Jackson, but he's not a wideout. He's not even tight end, depending on who you talk to. So it would have to be Ryan Broyles. He at the time when he left, he had the NCAA record for receptions until a Lincoln Riley kid broke it by a mile and broke it twice. That was exceptional. Yeah, I would have to say that it's Ryan Boyle. But then again, I mean, it ain't historically one of our stronger positions. You know, I mean, we famously let Justin Blackmon end up at Oklahoma State.
You did.
You know, and then Jermaine Gresham was gonna be a wideout, made him a tight end.
Made him a tight end. It was a beast out there.
You know, so like, not historically, we historically we kind of soft at wideout. To be perfectly honest,
running backs more our speed.
Running backs.
We are RBU. That's what we do. You know.
So Adrian Peterson, we already know what he does or did out there or still doing. And who else? DeMarco Murray. Yeah. We said that in unison.
Right? Mixon.
Nixon, Joe. P. Ryan. Okay.
I mean, people forget Chris Brown played for a little while in the league.
He did.
I mean, and people forget that before Adrian Peterson even saw the field, Kewan Jackson.
Buddy, you bringing it back, man. I might just be a closet OU fan then. I know all the guys.
Look, I remember Kewan at Jinx, you know, rushing for 300 yards and whatnot, you know. So, like, I mean, we hand the ball off. That's why when you ask me, when folks talk about Troy Aikman and OU, I'd be like, we run the ball. Like, this passing stuff, this is really new for us, man. Like, Leach came in here and we started throwing the ball all around the yard. People look around going, but y'all rushed for 400 yards a game. That was Swiffer. You know, so like asking about wide receivers, you're not going to get much. Ask about running backs. And all of a sudden we get into Hall of Fame all-timer conversations when you talk about a guy like Adrian Peterson. Even Quentin Griffith, who bounced around. People want to throw him in that conversation because little scat back that did everything. You know, people want to forget about Works. You know, Ronaldo,
Billy Sims.
Well, you know, sure. Marcus Dupree was a better running back. He just tough run of luck. Yeah, fight me. I'm telling everybody, fight me on this Billy Sims, Marcus Dupree. But that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. Like, we can go through the 80s and we can throw running back, and then you look at any other position, it's really hard. Like, because quarterback is relatively new. Think about that. Every quarterback that OU has had win a Heisman has been in the Bob Stoops era, right? Has been a Bob Stoops quarterback, you know. But we had Steve Owens, we had Tinker Owens, we had Billy Sims, backs from different eras, you know. So I get touchy when we start talking about stuff that OU is good at, other than historically playing defense or running the
historically playing defense. So you got your D.D. Westbrooks, your Shepherds, just as of lately. Before we go any further, shout out to everybody that's in the chat box. I have Voch Lombardi. You guys go out and follow his channel. He's very good in breaking down film and very thorough in his analysis. Guys, go out and follow his channel. Shout out to Dollar Ninja, Franklin too as well. I can't say your last name. And Gerald Beasley and Draven. Thank you guys for tuning in too as well to the show. And I forgot Mr. Wright. Shout out to you too as well. Those guys are all in the chat box and they throwing out names too as well. I don't know if Joe Washington, I don't know who that is, but they said he's one of the greatest. Who's that?
Oh man, Silver Shoes.
Silver Shoes, Mr. No, they just didn't say Silver Shoe. They said Mr. Silver.
Washington, I know about, man. Got a mean golf game too, that man. Actually, I think he was. I think they had the Big 12 championship trophy down in, it was a suburb of Oklahoma City, not Midwest, Dale City, and they were showing it off because the trophy was made in Oklahoma this year, and he was down there signing autographs and whatnot. It's like, man, y'all better get down there and get Joe Washington's autograph. But I mean, also you get a Joe Don Dooley every once in a while. Somebody will pop up with that as a running back. It's a great, and he is, but you know. It's what we do. We run the ball.
That's what you guys do. So now you guys are airing it out. So what I want to talk about now is the prospect side of things. We do know that Baker Mayfield, you said he's one of the greatest, and I mean the greatest OU quarterback of all time. So what team do you think he fits best on, or what team you would love to see him on altogether? Either one of you guys can take it.
Go for it, Derek.
So I've thought, I mean, I wrote a piece probably a month or so ago for the website and everything where one of the teams I listed for him as an ideal fit, I don't know if they're still going to necessarily look this way, but I would encourage it, would actually be Jacksonville. And I think it's because it reunites with Dede Westbrook. It gives him a very, very good defense with a team that is more or less built to make, I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship this year and probably should have even gotten to the Super Bowl. So it's pretty safe to say that team's built out with the exception of the hole at quarterback. And I think that that's a place Baker could go in and immediately have a little bit of support around him as he kind of navigates that rookie season and everything. And
Blake Bortles. Mm-hmm. Why do you hate Blake Bortles? Why do you?
Why do I hate him?
Why do you hate Blake Bortles?
It's not so much that I personally hate him. It's more so that I look at what his numbers have been in his first 3 seasons.
I'm sorry, that was a layup. Like nobody likes Blake Bortles.
And Blake,
if I was a Jaguar fan, I would hate him.
I know, right?
Hey, was he the guy that showed? I know who Blake Bortles is, but was he the guy that said he has a beautiful wife or fiance? Was he that guy? Was it to him?
Could have been.
It sounds like him because he's the kind of guy. It's like people always tell me I suck, and whatever, and then he'll say something else like, "But I play quarterback in the NFL," and I'll be like, "Yeah," along with like 90 other guys. Cool,
right?
I mean that's a solid pick, Derek. I really do, because the sexy thing for me would be for Baker to end up in New York, mostly because I don't look at teams as they're built.
Which New York team?
Excuse me, Giants. My fault. But like I don't look at the teams as they're built. Because
they would crush my soul.
Well, I would obviously, but I mean, when you're drafting a quarterback, I gotta assume that you're drafting a quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years, and not to win right away. Also, he's your public spokesman just by default, right? He's your public spokesman. So the Giants have a great organization. They, for the most part, have demonstrated they know what they're doing, and they've done something that a lot of other folks can't say they do, which is beat the Patriots, in a game that mattered. And that counts for a lot too. We bag on Eli, or I bag on Eli, but he's got 2 Super Bowl rings, which is 2 more than I got. But yeah, outside of that, San Diego seems like it's getting his act together. Denver obviously wants him.
Yep.
I'll just say that I don't want him in Cleveland. Anybody else, I could probably be okay with. But if Cleveland drafts Baker Mayfield, we riot.
I wouldn't mind seeing New Orleans either. I think that's another place where, now in that case, he would be more so groomed for a little bit behind Breeze, but I do think that would be a good fit.
Isn't he a free agent this year, though?
I thought he had 1 more year on his deal.
Is it 1 more year?
I think so. I'll check real quick. On to the next question, Law.
Well, while we on to the next question with Baker Mayfield, I know the lazy comparable is Johnny Manziel. I know that's kind of like blasphemous for you guys OU fans.
We hate it.
It's very lazy for someone to say, hey, Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield, same person. You look at Mayfield's measurables. He really had to show up during his combine. And he also have to show up during his pro day, because I really want to know the ins and out of what Baker Mayfield measurables is going to be. Do you have any insight, RJ, on his measurables and his comparable trait?
Well, I mean,
Drew Brees is free.
Oh, see, that's what I thought. So they might not re-sign him at all. They might actually just draft a quarterback. And he's getting older, but he's just over 6 feet tall. He's just over 215 pounds, maybe a little lighter. His arm is not of Josh Allen's. He's not going to throw any 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. But anybody will tell you to watch him practice is just to watch an energy guy. It seems like you're just watching a guy play linebacker as opposed to play quarterback. But he's not going to blow you away with his speed. He's not really. It's going to be like the whole recruiting process for him, which is everybody wants to look at the measurables and say, I don't know, I can't offer that kid, or I can't put my reputation on a 6-foot scrawnier quarterback. But that's not who he is, man. He's a guy who has the highest completion percentage in college football history, the most efficient quarterback in college football history. It just
twice.
What I'm saying is, yeah, okay, he'll go through pro day and he'll go through the combine, and he'll do what he does. But that's not what you're going to draft. What you're going to draft is the guy that plays with a helmet on, not the guy who's going to wear sweats.
The intangibles, huh?
Well, I mean, I know that's not what a draft analyst wants to hear, and I know that's not what most coaches want to hear. I know that, but
we definitely don't. We like to know. I'm not saying I'm a draft analyst expert, but we like to have something tangible. We like to put people in boxes and say, okay, this is his skill set. This is the most that he's going to be able to bring to a team based off his height, based off his size and his measurables. That's why they're going to measure his hand size. They're going to say, okay, if he measure out a 7.5-inch hand, they're going to say he's have the propensity to fumble more than a 10-inch hand or a 12-inch, whatever, you know.
12 inches would be, story about TCU and Baker Mayfield's hand size. You heard that story?
No. What happened? All
right. So Baker was first getting looked at to be offered in high school by TCU before he was offered to transfer. And Gary Patterson told him to his face that his hands were too small to play quarterback. Told Baker Mayfield his hands were too small to play quarterback. Told Teddy Bridgewater his hands were too small to play quarterback. So, I mean, I hear you, but I don't hear you.
Hey, now hold on. Did Teddy Bridgewater lead the league in fumbles the years that he was playing with those small little gloves? I don't know. And
I also know that they were ready to put the franchise on his back until he came up injured. And even when they brought Bradford in, if you're listening to people, and I am, they were ready to put the franchise on his back again. So I mean, and you want to talk about fumbles? Why isn't nobody knocking Darnold, who has had, set more picks than Steven Adams, just thrown them, got interceptions everywhere, got fumbles everywhere, but everybody wants to take him as in top 5. So, like, I hear the hands argument, and I hear the speed argument, and I hear the box, because Josh Allen, of all these guys, has to be the best athlete, has to be. I mean, but I look at him and I see Ryan Tannehill.
You see Ryan Tannehill. Well, I got Voch Lombardi. He's saying that Baker Mayfield is more of a Matt Hasselbeck. Any thoughts? Comparables.
Matt Hasselbeck is slow.
Right.
And Matt Hasselbeck is ugly. But no. Like, I mean, Matt Hasselbeck in that maybe he's going to walk up to the overtime and say, we want the ball and we're going to score. Yeah. All right. Baker will do something like that. But is it too much to say that Matt Hasselbeck is a game manager, and in that Baker Mayfield is a playmaker?
Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah.
I mean, look, what did Matt Hasselbeck have? He had an outstanding defense and an outstanding running game.
Yeah.
Right? Baker Mayfield never had an outstanding defense. Never.
True that.
I get up. So miss me with the Matt Hasselbeck. We can do better.
The
Russell Wilson, those will fit. Fine. You want a short guy who can complete passes? Fine. I'm team short man anyway.
Team short man. Hey, the thing is too as well. Like we were talking about, I guess Sam Darnold and the other guy. They were saying that Jared Goff, right? He didn't really do much in college, but his measurables, his height, 6'4", 230, 215, 220, whatever his weight was, and he can pass pretty much every play in the book. He just didn't get out the pocket, run, of course, but he was a solid technician of the game. So talk to me about that.
Did he play under center, Jared Goff?
Did he? I think he did.
Did he play?
I think it was a pro-style offense.
Pro-style offense,
Okay.
That's with the separation.
Well, I mean, that would. If you want a guy with measurables, then you got 4 guys with measurables. You got Rosen, you got Allen, you got Darnold, and who's that kid everybody else is really high on?
It's at the tip of my tongue, too, as well.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, there are kids out there that have all those things. So if that's what you're looking for, don't give Baker Mayfield a second glance. Don't. I'm not going to try to convince you not to get what you want. I am going to tell you that the man walks around with, a rock of the size of Gibraltar on his shoulder. So by all means, add to it. But if you want somebody who wants to win, and somebody who you want to lead your team, and somebody who offensive players say, I can't wait to play for it, and defensive players say, I want to get the ball back to him, You know, that's Baker Mayfield. But
That's Baker Mayfield. Okay.
It's not going to fit into draft stock. It's just not. You know, and I've given up trying to make it fit.
Make it fit. Now, moving on from Baker Mayfield, and I just hope the kid do go first round. If not, then I hope he lands solid, like you said, like on a good, well-rounded defensive team like the Jaguars, and also a team that can offer him protection too as well.
Oh, good.
But what about this guy? I forgot his number. Your defensive guy, he's 6'3".
Ronquo.
Yeah, I couldn't say it. I wasn't going to try it. Now, they did say, and this was one of the articles I read, that he was measuring at 6'3", 250, but now they're saying that now it's more like 6'1", 240. And I'm not big on pretty much. I look at film. I look at what's jump out on tape for me. I see that. But what are your true thoughts on him? What do you think this guy, what he's going to do on this next level? Either one of you guys.
Go for it, Derek.
With Ogbo, he's got a lot of burst, great pass rusher. What worries me with him, and that was more so, I think, with how the defense was schemed at OU, when he was dropped back into coverage, usually it didn't work out well. But again, I think that was probably more related to Mike Stoops' the defensive coordinator's scheme. But as far as getting after the quarterback, Ogbo is everything you would want in that. I don't know if I'm Dallas that I look at him at like 19, but I would certainly, if somehow he's there in the second round, I definitely don't hate that pick at all.
Look, Ogbo's going to have to deal with people comparing to what he did in Mike Stoops' defense, which is playing actually the best position that you could play on the defense for college, and also the worst one that you could play for if you want to project to the NFL. Because Eric Stryker played the same position. It's a wide 9, and it's rushing the passer at its best, and it's, hey, you can drop back into coverage, you can play the flat, and you can sometimes even play strong side linebacker stand up, but it just doesn't translate, right? This is another reason why I've been asking to fire Mike Stoops for a long time, like 6 years, because it's hard to recruit a kid into this defense. When only one position on this defense outside of the secondary translates to the next level, and that's nose, right? If you can play over the nose in this 3-4, you're going to be Jordan Phillips, right? You're going to project well, you're going to get drafted high, you're going to make a lot of money in the NFL. One of the reasons I think Devontae Lampton left early this year is because he knows he projects well as a 0. But if you're playing this wide 9 and you're not going to a place like Houston, like Philly, right, which plays a wide 9 technique style of defense with these 3-4s where they're going to put you on the line of scrimmage and say, just go kill a quarterback, then you're not going to have much of a job. And that guy is kind of disappearing. You know, you got to be able to do more than one thing. And Ogbo, I love him, 21 sacks. You know, that's a lot of sacks in 4 years. I don't care who you are. He just doesn't project well. He's a tweener, and tweeners die a very quick death in the NFL. Ask Michael Sam. Right?
What do you think of Charles Tapper then? You know,
I think Tapper's a speed rusher in the NFL, and I think if he gets an opportunity to get on the field, I think he does good things. But also, I think he benefited from Gary Montgomery. You know, I think Tapper was a basketball player who was convinced he could play defense in the same way that Ogbo had never played football before high school. He was going to be a pharmaceutical tech, you know, and his defensive coach came up to him, said, "You're a big guy. You should come play defensive end." And he said, "What's defensive end?" So in both of those cases, you got guys that really didn't play football for very long. So he's still maturing. He's still figuring it out. You know, you're going to have a lot more bust than made plays, but if you can be patient, you're going to get something out of Charles Tapper. But it's the NFL. Do you have time to be patient?
That's a good question. Derek, what are your thoughts on those two?
Well, on Ogbo, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with RJ on that. Tapper, that's a great point he brought up as well. I forgot how relatively new he was to playing football. I think if Tapper can stay healthy and get on the field, yeah, he has a chance to make some really good contributions for the Cowboys defense. What was it that sidelined him again this season? Was it a foot injury or was it something else? I can't quite recall. It happened early in the season, like week 2 or something.
I think it's something degenerative with him. What is it?
Sickle cell.
Sickle cell.
Yeah.
I thought that was last year. I didn't know it was the same thing again this year.
Oh well, I mean, you don't really get rid of it, dog.
Well, no, okay.
So what I'm saying is, like, if the doctors have decided it's just not time for him to play, and then he got hurt, Plus, isn't Taco Charlton playing defensive end out there now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a guy you drafted highly a defensive end. That says a lot about what you think about Charles Tapper. I think. And Dallas Cowboys defense wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It wasn't bad either. And if he could find a way to get into the rotation, that'd be enough for me. I just want to see the kid get enough snaps to actually make a difference. And I don't know that he's going to get an opportunity to do that at Dallas, to be fair. I really don't. Because, of all the places where you want help, you really want help at defensive end? Is that where you think you need help, Law?
Well, as far as if we talk about prospecting, I'm like I said, I'm a deep-rooted Cowboys fan. I was looking at you guys, tight end, Mark Andrews. Can't have. I want that kid so bad. I was looking at his film. I said, "Oh my God, man! Put him on my team. Let him run the vertical routes." But I think he's a more complete tight end than any other tight end that we have currently on my Cowboys roster, as opposed to like the Jason Wittens of the world, of course. But I do know that fan favors are favoring Rico. But tight end, to me, personally, I always say tight end is the hardest position, the third hardest position in the National Football League to learn. Number 1 is quarterback. Number 2 is the center. And number 3 is the tight end. You got so many responsibilities to do out there. And to me, tight end is just so much. You have to have a cerebral type of guy who understands the playbook and played that position for a while. So that's why I feel like Mark Andrews, I can see him finding the spots in the zone. I did see a post where Derek says that he's not that great in blocking, which, you guys saw more games than I have seen. But I think that this kid does have the measurables, the size, the tenacity, the temperament to learn that trait, or not learn a trait, but to learn that skill set to be able to block upfield, inline block, and then squeeze out and catch the ball across the middle and stretch the field vertically.
Well, and I think you're correct on all of that, but I think you're sleeping on Dimitri Flowers. Then, if you think that tight end is the third most difficult position in the NFL to play, why not just draft a guy who's used to having all those responsibilities and has, frankly, really good hands and is a better pass blocker and run blocker than Mark Andrews. Also, again, Mark Andrews is a converted wide receiver.
Yep.
He's way more Jermaine Gresham than he is Hannah.
Well, Derek said he's more of an Escobar.
Oh goodness.
And that scared the hell out of me. So I said, let me look at some more film on him. I said,
mean about it, yeah. If you want to be mean about it, but
I just meant in the sense of drafting a pass-catching tight end who's not as strong of a blocker and then not utilizing him properly. I didn't literally mean it's apples to apples.
Okay. I was like, oh, man, Escobar. I said, let me go back and look at some more film. And I was looking everywhere to see where Escobar is at. Where's Escobar at in his film?
In front of this before the character assassination.
Man. No, but if that's your concern and if that's what you think that you want, I would, maybe if he'll be there in the third round, I think, you go get Dimitri Flowers because
I like Flowers a lot.
He does all the things that you're asking a tight end to do over there at Dallas.
I would really have to look at Demetrius Flowers film.
Well, I'm saying that the price might be too high for what you want in Andrews, especially if you're gonna keep Witten around. If you're gonna keep if you're willing to part with Witten in the next year, 2 years, that's one thing.
That's blasphemous. Witten is office furniture. He's office furniture. He's that big brown, black, or cherry oak table that's sitting in the office that's not going to be moved.
you don't have room for Andrews then. Like I mean, you just don't. I mean, would you have room for Jermaine Gresham?
No, yeah, you're right. So
Yeah,
he's
so like that's
speaking to me.
looking at it as a personnel standpoint.
That's like the story of Dallas tight ends other than Jason Witten.
Yeah, there's only one room for a pass catching tight end in that offense. Unless you want to make him a wideout again, which is intriguing, but I don't think you want to do that. He's a great prospect. I just don't think he's what you want.
Changing my mind, right?
just adding the knowledge of what I have of OU and OU's players. Because I always want them to do well, and I always want them to go in a good situation, and I want to know that their skill set is going to the right team. Because like a lot of what we're talking about is how does a player fit into what I already do well, not what is the best player available, which is basically my underlying problem with Mike Stoops' defense is he wants to play the best players available as opposed to drafting kids that fit a better scheme that's more appropriate. And you'll see that play out all over the place. Like people used to wonder a lot for quite a while at Buffalo what Khalil Mack was going to do. And then they said, oh, so if we just put his hand on the ground, we let him go, he's gonna be all pro? Okay, cool. Let's do that. As opposed to draft him and let's say to the Texans, he's not gonna do anything over there in that defense. If you make him stand up, what do you got? He's not gonna be chasing down wide receivers in the slot. That's suicide.
Just pin the ears back and just go to the quarterback. I see.
Just play football. Make it simple. Why's it gotta be hard?
Mm-hmm. So, what's this? Who's number 31 on your team?
Number 31.
31.
Is it a 31?
Like 31 what?
Did he play defense or what did he play?
Oh, that's his number.
Yeah. Who's?
Okay, I was like, are we talking about going 31st overall?
No.
31. Who played 31?
Let me look it up. Hope it was your right team.
I'm trying to think of players he's mentioned from OU. You mentioned Jordan Thomas, but he's not 31.
No. I mean, that's Obo, I thought.
It's Obo.
Yeah, Obo.
That's
Yeah,
number
Obo.
31. Okay, good.
I thought we've been talking about Obo. So
okay, great.
Whether or not we were getting into special teams or something. Like numbers? Like, no, that's Obo.
That's the only way I remember players. I remember their numbers. For some reason, I can only recall numbers. So Ogbo is number 31. Okay,
yeah.
So let you know how much film I watch on OU. I'm like everywhere on that. So that's just all I had for like the OU trivia or OU talk as far as who's stand out. Do you guys have another guy that just standing out, may go in the top of the draft boards there?
I got one that needs. I mean, that we haven't mentioned that I thought was a no-brainer, which would Orlando Brown, Zeus, tackle, unanimous All-American. He's going in the first round, dog.
Left tackle.
Left tackle. He's developed so quickly. Like we talk about 4 years, but this was a kid who was a middling recruit, 3 stars. Had an offer from Tennessee. They pulled it late, really late. His coach pulled the kind of work that we would hope that every coach pulls for his high school kids. Found Oklahoma, sent him film. Bob Stoops is like, all right, cool, I'll take a look at him. Liked the film enough to show it to Beatonbow. Beatonbow said his feet were trash, but if you want him and you like him, I'll work with him. He's got, size. I mean, I think at the time he was pushing 4 bills. And they got him, on a high-protein diet. He listened. He learned the offense. And he became one of the captains, with work ethic. And I don't know. The way that Beatonbow put it was, there's no kid that I've ever coached that had to work more for it. He just didn't have the talent standpoint, right? And that tells me everything I would want to know if I'm drafting a kid, because, as you said, playing football in the National Football League is hard, and studying is a big part of it. And this kid has shown he'll study and practice enough not only to meet the expectations that you have for him, but to exceed them and become a unanimous All-American. He's gonna go in the first round. He just is.
So he's tops all the way. So with that being said, so he worked on his footwork. So he got quick hips, footwork, long extension, can extend, and can get out on his block. So you're saying that he got all those traits, right? So who is? I have to say this. I know you guys probably don't like this, but who is his comparables? Who is compared to?
Give me. I would. Michael Orr, if Michael Orr committed a personal foul at least twice a game.
So he do have a mean streak, right?
You know, like there's a play, man. I made a video about this. Matter of fact, if you hit up my Patreon and you support our Patreon, it's there. But there's this great counterplay during the Rose Bowl that I diagrammed just to show how Lincoln Riley's counterplay is a little bit different than most you'll see. And the way that Orlando Brown comes from the left side of that line to clear that hole is just gorgeous. I mean, to see him get up, get out, and get after it, you know, to have his hands out in front of him. I never see his face mask being used as a blocking tool. You know, I always see him get those feet back quick. I've never seen him get beat off a snap. You know, even when I swear to God the defensive end had that snap count, he was still long enough to get a shove out and give Baker enough time to do something with the football. So, I mean, if he was angry and he had Michael Orr's hand.
Michael Orr's hand. My guy, Voch Lombardi, said Greg Robinson is what he reminds him of.
He's that big.
Well, how big is he? How big is Brown?
He's 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you're talking my language. Talk some more. What's his size? What's his weight?
Yeah, he's 6'8", 330, 340.
Oh
he's
my
about,
God.
Do you remember Phil Lodeholt?
Yep, that was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's Phil Lodeholt with more discipline.
6'8".
More,
gonna anchor the left side of your field. My God.
Better hand. You know, 6'8", 345.
Sounds right.
Cause yeah. You know, doesn't move like it. Doesn't move like it. You know, he moves like a guard. But I mean, just if you want to talk intangibles, measurables, that's your dude. I mean, that's the only guy on the roster that everybody in the NFL would look at just with these numbers on a sheet and go, yeah, we'll draft him. You know, 6'8" though. Like, and that was the other thing. When people talk about Baker Mayfield being short, he threw over Orlando Brown.
No doubt.
He threw over Orlando Brown.
Oh wow, at 6'8", yeah, shoot, that side of the field. So who's playing beside him? Who's the guard beside him? Then what's his name?
Who was? It's not Alex Dalton. Ben Powers. No. Yeah, it was Powers. It's Ben Powers. Because on the other side of him, there was Eric Rain was the center. At right tackle was Bobby Evans. Drew Samia. Drew Samia was on the right side. So the left side was Ben Powers. And what is Powers? Powers is like, I want to say like 6'3".
Have y'all kept your same offensive line coach since I guess Lane Johnson was there?
No.
Different offensive line coach, right?
Yes, but you can see the difference. Because I think Orlando is the first kid that Bedenbaugh coached for 4 years that is going to get an opportunity to play pro football. But we went from this really ridiculous setup where we had an offensive tackles coach and then an interior line coach. And I was mad about it. And then most people were mad about it. And then that guy got let go. And they brought Bedenbaugh in and said, nah, I got the whole offensive line. Leave me alone. And they got bigger and they got nastier and they got better footwork.
So what is his pedigree? Is he more of like a zone blocking scheme coach?
No, he's one of Leach's proteges.
Oh, okay.
So, but he was brought to OU and told, we have horses at running back. We're not going to do wide splits. We're not going to the zone block unless it suits the back. You know, we're going to run traditional blocking schemes. And you know, Bedenbaugh did a lot for Tech. But as soon as he got to Arizona, and I think he was actually, I want to say, he was Mike Stoops' run game coordinator at the time. But anyway, when he got his own offensive line, they just rolled people up. Like that's what they do. Like it didn't look like we were going to have 1,000-yard rusher this year, and then we not just had 1,000-yard rusher. Every running back for OU, every running back, every single running back averaged 5.9 yards per carry or better.
God, dog.
That's not the running backs. I mean, they're good. They're very good. Ronnie Anderson's awesome. Trey Sermon's awesome. Abdul Adams was awesome. Marcellus Sutton is a kick returner. Everybody averaged 5.9 yards a carry. Now, it's one thing if one dude does that. That's a great back. If everybody does that, that's the line, right?
Sound like Beaton Bo need to go to the league.
Right.